We spend a lot of time helping general counsel and in-house counsel on their transactions and projects, don't we, Rachel? And they're across lots of different sectors, but do you see any sort of common themes where there are challenges for general counsel on deals?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few actually. The first being kind of capacity of the in-house legal teams. So the in-house legal teams, particularly where there's only one general counsel who are kind of running around sorting everything, or where there's an in-house team that have got a lot of transactions or a lot of different matters on. I think capacity is a big one where we can step in and help. So whether that's on your corporate transactions, so your M&A deals, whether that's on your sort of broader things, so compliance, commercial contracts, that kind of thing, that's where we quite often need to step in and help. Also just acting as an extension of that in-house legal team. So for example, if there's a deal in different jurisdictions, whilst we might not be able to advise on the law of that particular jurisdiction, if there's a deal there, we can liaise with local counsel, sort of act as a project management centre. So I think, yeah, capacity is definitely one that comes up quite a bit. Going back to that as well, complexity. So because we are full service, we've got all of the different experts in pensions or data protection, so we can reach out to them for specialist pieces of advice as well. And
keeping control of budgeting's often a theme we see as well. How do you think clients ask us to help with these challenges? What do we do that's special for them?
I think it's transparency above all. So giving an initial indication and making sure that what we're offering is actually what the client needs, rather than just being external counsel, running away with it, getting too bogged down in details that don't really matter to the client in the context. So it's properly scoping it, being transparent, giving regular cost updates, so kind of weekly cost emails or jumping on a call and saying this is where we're up to, these are the fees we've incurred. If there's any particular niggles that we need to pick up, saying okay, we didn't account for this, but this has come up, so we can scope and quote for that separately, give you the specialist advice on that you need. So I think, yeah, it just boils down to that transparency and making sure that the client's informed, knows what the fees are, what any future costs are looking like in the run-up to a close and that kind of thing.
Sure, yeah, I think it's I think the key thing is how the client wants the transaction being managed. In terms of communication, it's all very well saying to clients we've got these Wizzo systems, but if it's not a communication process they buy into, it's not really something that'll flow through and be successful. What sort of tools do you use for helping the communication and project management process for clients?
Well, I think there's a couple of different things, isn't there? And it's entirely dependent on client-to-client basis. So some clients might want weekly catch-up calls. Other clients might want just a weekly email to say, this is where we're up to on the various work streams, this is here, this is there. It's helpful sometimes to have sort of issues lists, overarching all of the documents that might be on a various deal, where we're up to, so on and so forth. And I think the other thing is just properly resourcing it, so that you're not having, for example, a partner doing all of the legwork and drafting ancillary documents. You've got trainees that can draft stuff, more senior solicitors can review them, and it's just making sure that work's resourced at the right level, so that there's never a kind of backlog, it's never stuck with one person, and that enables it just to flow. And then you can utilise the team essentially as a tool to make sure the deal progresses as it should.
So what tools do you use for communicating matters around fees and budgets and costings for clients and GCs?
It boils down to those weekly emails, just giving a general indication of fees and costs. If the client opts for sort of weekly catch-up calls internally, then it's just detailing that on those calls. It might not necessarily be appropriate to give that breakdown every week if we're just progressing in line with the budget, but I think what's really important is that as soon as you see that there's a kind of element of scope creep where something's out of scope, hadn't been accounted for, it might be something that comes up in the due diligence, for example. I think it's as soon as you identify that that scope is looking to creep, that's when that conversation's had. It just boils down to that transparency and making sure everyone's aware of what needs to be done, how much it's going to cost, and to the extent something is kind of a nice to have, it's saying this is nice to have. It might be something you want to pick up now, it might be something you want to pick up down the line in a couple of months, but here's an estimate of costs. And it's just picking that up as and when the GC or the in-house legal team feel comfortable.
I suppose it's all part of getting information from the client as to what they want from you, what they need for the transaction, rather than you saying this is how we do things, this is the process. And I guess part of that is just listening to the client at the start to see what their requirements are for the deal. And I think if you get to that point, you get a client trusting you about the work you do and the communication you have with them, then they start to view you not really as an external lawyer, but they start talking to you as though you're part of the business making decision. So they may ask your views on commercial aspects of the deal, as well as the legal. And I think if you get to that point, then I think you're probably doing quite a good job for the client, and you're probably giving them what they need, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't think there's a one size fits all. It's entirely dependent on that client's needs, and it may well be, for example, just taking the example of due diligence, it might well be that they're all over the commercial contracts, they plan to renegotiate them in a bit anyway, and so they only want a high level summary. It's not about going in there and trying to upsell, oh, you need us to do a full detailed review of each and every contract that's been uploaded to the data room, and there might be 200 contracts in there. I think it is just tailoring it to that client's needs, and it comes down to what the client wants and what's in their best interests. And I think that's the thing, is it's just assessing each matter on a case-by-case basis and seeing what it actually is that the client wants, rather than trying to force what you think is the right thing on them. It's taking into account the individual business, the in-house team's needs, and any sort of risks that are flagged. Just saying, these are the particular areas we think you should focus on. It may well be this can wait, just things like that. So it's very much case-by-case basis. And I think, like you say, that's what builds trust and makes you become a sort of almost a part of the in-house legal team with that function, where they come to you with, oh, so this is a bit of a commercial decision as to whether we do this now or down the line, and you can sort of offer
an opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's a takeaway, isn't it? We need to listen to in-house counsel as to what they need and build a relationship of trust, so you're seen as a commercial advisor as well as a legal advisor. So I think the key takeaway from all this is listening to the in-house counsel as to the way, A, they want us to deliver the deal, and B, how they want us to interact with them and communicate with them about the key issues on the deal. And I think if we get that right, then the client will start to see us more as a business partner and take our views and opinions on commercial aspects of the transaction and not just the legal aspects. And I think as an external lawyer, if you get GCs starting to ask those sorts of questions, I think you're starting to do a good job for them.
I think that's exactly right. It boils down to that kind of constant communication, building that transparency, and I think that's what GCs want. They want someone who's on their level and that they can go to and sort of shoot questions to as and when it comes up, and know that they're going to get a response that matches their level rather than something that they're not really looking for. So no, I think you've nailed it pretty much. No, thanks for that.
Cheers.